2018. That was 5 years ago. Yeah, anyway, it was pretty much the last important year for the 3DS in any kind of way. We got the last major games for the console, like Kirby Battle Royale, Persona Q2, and a bunch of remakes strangely, like Luigi's Mansion and Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey, which is gonna be rare someday, although it's already pretty pricey on eBay right now, so if you're ever planning on getting it, buy it soon. One of these late entries into the 3DS's library was WarioWare Gold, an overlooked game to say the least. A game that I've only seen people talk about twice, both those times were in 2018, which is strange seeing that it almost been like a decade since the last WarioWare came out, or at least 5 if you want to count Game & Wario. So is WarioWare Gold a hidden gem, or does it deserve to be forgotten? Let's take a look. So to begin, the story starts off with Wario stealing a pot from a temple, then coming home and watching TV. Then there's this news story about a new game that came out selling very well, which is weird because how often does a news channel cover a bestseller unless it differs the slightest from their political views. Anyway, Wario, being broke, decides to try his hand again at making video games, this time hosting a tournament to go along with it. I've gotta say though that it feels strange hearing Wario speak actual dialogue, when we barely hear any Mario character speak a full sentence.
Now I just need to convince these chumps to do all the work. Hey there, Jimmy. I need you to make some games for me. Mona, I need your help. What's it pay? Hold on. I can't hear you. Are you breaking up? Oh, so will you make some games for me or what? Hey, Ashley. Okay, I'll call you back. Wrong number, sorry. Hey, it's me. Me. It's me. Wario! That'll do it. The money's as good as mine. Those saps fall for it every time.
Like the rest of the WarioWare franchise, the game is actually a collection of hundreds of super short minigames, or microgames, that only last a few seconds. A lot of the first time I play them, I lose not because I suck, but because you have so little time to figure out how the game even works before losing. Honestly, WarioWare games are always better on later playthroughs when you know how to play them. A lot of the microgames in Gold are actually reused from previous games in the series, which is cool as a callback, but at the same time, feels a bit redundant to people who've played all the games, and maybe even a bit lazy to some. Microgames can be put into 3 categories: the Mash League, Twist League, and Touch League. Each of these leagues are different in how they're controlled. In the Mash League, you use the buttons and D-pad to play. In the Twist League, you use the 3DS's motion controls. And in the Touch League, you use the touchscreen because literally, what else would you guess? Never mind. Out of the 3, I like touchscreen minigames the most. I don't understand why, but they just feel the most fun to me. And I would say the same for the motion controlled ones too, but since I'm, capturing gameplay, I have my 3DS capture card installed, there's a mess of wires connected to my 3DS to record everything. I swear, there's nothing worse than having to move something around fast, but you can't move it around fast because you're gonna unplug like 3 cables going into it. So yeah, plus as much as I love the 3DS, its motion controls suck, frankly. Maybe it's because it's a lot heavier than the Wii Remote or Joy-Cons, or maybe just from a fear of dropping the system, but I really don't enjoy using motion controls on the 3DS as much. As for the button ones, I put them in the middle, and they are without a doubt the simplest to play. But I don't find them as fun as touchscreen ones for some reason, but just me. In the story mode, each category of microgames has their own bracket of 5 levels hosted by various characters from previous WarioWare games, which are not only divided by controls but also by genre, either fantasy, sports, that's life, and classic Nintendo callbacks, which are the best, let's be honest. In these levels, you play a series of microgames, usually around 15 to 20 or so. You can lose 3 of them or else it's back to the beginning unless you pay 100 gold to continue. At the end, you play a boss stage, which isn't exactly a boss fight or anything, but a microgame that's usually a lot harder and more complex than what they usually are. Each level also has its own story with a character trying to accomplish a goal that day, whether it be having a photo shoot with fangirls, running away from killer robots, or just doing some math homework. Now, what picking noses and shaving the plant has to do with any of that is beyond me, but in all seriousness, I really do like these cutscenes, especially since for a first for the series, they have actual voice acting, which adds quite a bit to these characters' personalities. Speaking of which, since the video is only going to be like 10 minutes long at best, it won't hurt to look at each of these characters, would it? Besides Wario, who hosted tutorials, there's Jimmy T, the legendary dancer, and his storyline revolves around some college girls who thinks are wanting to take pictures of him, but in actuality are just taking pictures of the cat in his hair. Then we have Kat and Anna, two ninja sisters, and their voices are actually really good. Like, they actually sound like they're little kids. I mean, I'm usually one to find characters like this super annoying, but for once I kind of don't. There's also Ashley, who really creeps me out. I feel like she's the kind of person to just kill me for no reason. She's a powerful witch, and to top it all off, she's still a child. Or at least a teenager, I don't know.
The only thing more terrifying than her is me that one time I got turned into an anime character. But trust me, you don't want to know how that ended.
Slightly less creepy is Mona, a high school student who, for whatever reason, somehow actually has the hots for Wario. Now, I'm not one to kink shame, but she has issues. After that, we have Dr. Kygor and his granddaughter Penny, young Cricket the martial arts student, and his teacher Master Mantis, Dribble Spitz the space taxi service, and Orbulon the alien. And the last characters are the Volt, who are everyone's favorite since all of their games are based on other Nintendo ones. You have 9Volt, the Nintendo fanboy, and his fellow student, 18Volt, who despite looking like he's a grown man is actually only 9. Or either that or he got held back. Apparently, I've heard some people say he has like a medical condition that made him go for puberty in grade school or something. I mean, it's not impossible though. I mean, the world's tallest man, Robert Wadlow, was like 6'2" when he was only 9, so I mean, maybe 18Volt isn't the same age again, like I was saying earlier, and just got held back. I mean, I've never heard a definitive answer on this. But, and last and best of all, though, the cutest mom in Nintendo history is 5Volt. Although I do wonder how old she even is. I mean, she could be 40 for all I know, but if you told someone who didn't know any better that she was like in her early 20s, I don't think they'd contradict you. Once every character's level is cleared, some new ones open up, and these ones are compilations of all 3 minigame types, storing a number of different characters. Some new ones are added as well. You have to blow on the microphone, which are the easiest since again all you have to do is blow on the microphone. Alongside some very, very brief ones that are even shorter and less complex than normal micro games. After these levels are cleared, it's time for the final boss, Wario. He refuses to give out the tournament prize and puts the golden pot he stole on his head, which transforms him into a vampire thing, whatever. The level is another compilation one, only longer, more difficult, and has some new micro games. There's also this girl named Lulu. She helps stop Wario, and there's also various cutscenes that play after certain levels, where she calls Wario out on his crap, alongside various other random things that I really didn't care about enough to mention her. I really hate the final micro game though. All you need to do is repeat after these guys, but your timing has to be just right, and for the life of me, I had a really hard time getting it down. It also brings together every control scheme, from the D-pad, the buttons, touchscreen, motion controls, even the console's microphone. So I do appreciate that aspect of it, I just suck at it. But once it's over, Wario returns to normal, and it's revealed that that pot was really, yeah.
Right. The people of Luxville have been holding it long enough.
Hey, what's that mean, huh? Holding it?
This pot is a potty. It had just been cleaned and put out to dry when you stole it.
10-year-old me would have thought this was the most hilarious thing ever. Anyway, Wario's employees are somehow shocked that he didn't plan on paying them, despite all the stunts he's pulled before, and, Cricket grabs his, 5Volt takes pictures. Seriously though, just look at this picture and tell me it doesn't look wrong. Just look at where his eyes are focused on. Yeah, I thought Mona had problems. Well, on the downside, Wario spent most of the money on the tournament, and there's barely any left, but it gets split evenly anyway, and the credits roll. In total, the story mode is only a few hours long at most, but thankfully there's a lot more to do after beating it. For one, once you do beat it, challenge mode is unlocked, with a lot of different sub-modes to choose from. There's All Mixed Up, which is like a story mode level, but with random mini-games, and it's endless, with the goal being to try to win as many as possible before running out of lives. Thrill Ride is very similar, with the only difference being you only get one life. Super Hard mode, despite being called super hard, is actually easier than Thrill Ride. You get multiple lives, but the microgames are sped up to a ridiculous amount. After that, there's Wario Watch, where instead of getting a game over after losing all your lives, you get a game over if you run out of time. If you lose a microgame, you just lose time, and if you win one, you gain some more time. I enjoy playing this mode somewhat, since it does give a completely different experience than the rest of the game, but boss stages, yeah, they take up so much time and are usually the end of my runs. But one mode I really don't like is Gamer, and you know how I was saying 5V is adorable? Well, I was wrong. Here she barges into her son's room without permission, stalks him from the window outside his bedroom, and even somehow manifests herself from his TV just because she thinks he might be playing games past his bedtime. Not only that, but she also turns to a demon whenever she catches him in the act. It's a real good thing he wasn't playing Mario 64 DS is all I can say. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot to mention the mode itself. Well, you can probably already guess how it works. You just play games within a game, and yeah, just hide whenever you think she's coming. I also don't like Wario interrupts because of interrupting. It's challenging to try to play while barely being able to see the screen, I'll say that. Cruise Controls is like a time attack mode where the goal is to clear 15 microgames as fast as possible, with the ability to speed them up by tilting the console up or slow them down by tilting the console down. My absolute favorite mode is Split Screen. Here there's no time at all between microgames, and they keep alternating between the top and bottom screen. It really puts the player on their toes, and even though it's challenging, it's a lot of fun. My one complaint is Cat and Anna saying their names every 5 freaking seconds. I cannot begin to describe how it gets on my nerves. Other than that though, it's a blast. And last of all is Battle Time, an online mode that I couldn't get to work because I legitimately could not find another player online to face off with. To be fair, the 3DS is almost 12 years old at this point, and WarioWare Gold isn't exactly the most popular title, hence the name of this video, but sheesh. I even tried multiple times a day over the course of a week, and not once did I find anyone to play with. So I'm just gonna guess what this mode was, and I'm gonna say it's awesome. But even after all that, there's still more to do. Yeah, I know this video is getting stale. If you replay the levels in story mode, they can now be played endlessly, with the microgames getting faster and harder. There's the index, which can be used to play a specific microgame. There's a mission board, with gold being the reward for clearing achievements, and this gold can be used in this capsule machine. For 600 gold, the player gets a random collectible, and thankfully it's always a different one each time, unlike in, let's say, Smash Bros. These collectibles range from minigames to character cards to legacy Nintendo consoles, and then there's random stuff that has no purpose, like you get the ability to voice over cutscenes yourself. Other than kids, who would actually want to voice over a game's cutscenes with a crappy 3DS mic? But I have to say that there's a lot of collectibles, over 100, and they take a long time to collect. You wanna know how many coins you get playing a microgame? Around 10. Yeah, so just to get one collectible, it takes playing 60 or so microgames. Sure, certain challenge modes do hand out more than 10 for each one, and there are special gold collecting stages in the story mode levels now, but it still takes ages to get all of them. Seriously though, like 2/3 of my playtime for this video is just trying to grind gold, and I still have like 90 more to go as of recording this video. I do like that these collectibles exist though, as they do add a lot more incentive to keep playing after clearing the story mode, but still, that's a lot. And that's WarioWare Gold. Overall, a pretty solid, fun little game. It might not be a massive epic RPG like I usually cover on this channel, but I had a good time playing it. Gold has the same things that made the rest of the WarioWare series great, with its simplicity, fast-paced action, and variety in microgames. The fully voiced over and animated cutscenes also bring a lot to the table. There's a satisfying amount of different playstyles and a lot to do. Maybe too much depending on your perspective, especially considering how short the story mode is. Some might feel a bit ripped off that most of their playtime playing this is just going to be playing the same microgames over and over again, and a lot of them are again reused from past installments. So it's no wonder why the general opinion of WarioWare Gold by critics is kind of meh. I also don't know if I'd recommend getting it, since this game is pretty rare actually, and by the time of the release of this video, the eShop is probably dead,
unless I work like a dog to put this out, so that's no longer gonna be an option. If you are a big WarioWare fan though, give it a shot. There's a lot of fun to be had even if half the game's recycled. Rest in peace to the 3DS, and thank you all for watching.